pick apart the NFC. We did the AFC. NFC is up right now. We got the bets, we got the drafts, we got free agency. We are breaking it all down. This is Money Pot. Let's go. Welcome everybody back to another episode of the Money Pot Betting Show. This is our NFL Offseason series, and we got our gurus of the offseason, our GMs. Got to get yourself one. I got one. Our own professional gambler. C-Sharp, what's up, bro?
What's going on, everybody? We've officially crossed the Passover and Easter threshold. So, man, I mean, it's the month of the draft. Yeah, it's here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is here. And happy Easter to everybody. Whether you celebrate it, you didn't celebrate it. We definitely had the whole Moses and Noah on TV this weekend.
Nice.
A little bit. So, it was good kind of see there was something on Netflix. So, the wife likes to watch some of that stuff. Ernie B, what's up, bro? What's going? No birds, no green. All white.
It's
white out.
all white, and it's
all
not
white on me
or disrespect. You tell me what it is. We're gonna figure it out in a little bit. It'll be all right. But as always, man, I'm just happy to be here. All right, I'm just happy to be here as always. Come on now.
As always. So for everybody joining, this is our NFL offseason where we take and see how these teams are being rebuilt and broken down so we can actually bet better going into our future bets. It's a little bit different for at least me. I hope it's a little bit good for you in terms of actually understanding how these teams are built so you can put yourself in a better position for some of those future bets. Everything's a step. Everything's a process. Everything we do goes full circle, and this is what we're doing. So we banged out the AFC, no Diddy. Banged out the AFC. And now it's time for the NFC. This will be the NFC East West. We're trying to kind of fit everything in. A lot of no Diddy talk here. So we can have a late mock draft where we have our last mock draft right into the season, and we'll be doing the mock. But the one thing cool about the mock, I think we'll do the mock based off the betting odds and what makes a lot of sense. So you get a lot of your betting options for those who bet the draft. Let's get right into it. Let me bring up my little chart that we have here in terms of the what was that? What I have in terms of our slides. Let me bring it up. Bring it up. Let's see. Ooh, wrong one. Let me see. Come on, Moss, be prepared. Sorry, my son's in the back. WrestleMania is coming to Philly, and my son is hype for WrestleMania.
Nice. That's Philly, awesome.
So, yeah, we will be in the building actually, believe it or not. We are.
Man, I've been to a couple shows, and it's always a great time.
Yeah. I just hope he lasts. That's my only thing because like WrestleMania is like it's 5 hours.
It's long.
You know what I mean? And I'm gonna be that dad. We're not going to work. I mean, we're not going to school tomorrow. Like you stay in your ass home.
There you go. I love it.
Yeah, I wish this would have came up a little bit quicker. There we go. There we are. A little bit better. A little bit cleaner. A little bit different, like I said, than I did before. So what I have for you guys right now is the full NFC East, and what we have is obviously the teams on the left. We have our free agent signings in the column 2, our departures in 3, and then 4, some key kind of free agency, re-signing. Not a lot of movement here, probably a little bit of no-name guys, but you can see down at the Eagles. Watch YouTube, watch our show. We had a full show on the Eagles, so you guys gotta watch the full show that we did on the breakdown of the Eagles on what they're going to do. I'm not going to go through the Eagles again. But let's start at the top here. Washington. When I went and looked at Washington Commanders in terms of what they did, a lot of one-year deals, but the big names that they did sign, Obviously, I have Eckler there. We pretty much know they're going to take a quarterback here in the draft, but they did sign Marcus Mariota, which is going to be your stopgap. And then after Mariota, Dormus Armstrong, which I think was a pretty decent signing. He was a DN from Dallas to rejoin Quinn here in terms of his first outing. Some other names there that I didn't put, names for you guys that you might know. Obviously, Zach Ertz going over there to Washington. That's going to be weird to see him coming back in those ugly-ass colors. Tyler Bazier, I believe that's how you say his last name, the center.
Tyler Biotish.
Biotish. Yeah. That was a big center. That was a big move for them that they needed. 3-year deal. So, Sharp, I'll go to you. NFC East, always tough division. You like what Washington's doing right now with what they have and the pieces they have? Or, they unloaded on that defensive line, right? That high-priced defensive line, and actually kind of stayed kind of competitive there from a defensive line standpoint. But from Washington's perspective, is this just kind of filling in gaps, or they're going to make some noise in the NFC East?
Make some noise. I'm not sure. I think they would need chaos in front of them. I do think the Cowboys and the Eagles are significantly better. That being said, I do think their win total sitting at 6.5 is pretty interesting, and I would definitely be leaning over, if not like for sure loving the over. I actually like what they did. So they're pretty much starting from scratch. They have a new owner, new front office, new head coach, new coaching staff, new scouting director. I mean, everything's new. This franchise is going in a completely different direction. I actually like that instead of investing that much resources into the defensive line, they kind of pulled back on 2 defensive linemen and then kind of spread that money out. I actually think Tyler Biotish and Frankie Louvu, the center, and the Mike linebacker, I guess you can call him off-ball linebacker. I'm not sure how that's going to work with Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu. They'll figure that out. But regardless, they plugged up the center, the middle of both sides. Like, center for a young QB is super important. They also stole Nick Allegretti, who Chiefs fans know he's not a star player, but anytime an interior offensive lineman got hurt for the Chiefs over the last 3 years, that guy stepped in and started. He was kind of their swing whatever. So he was kind of their 6th offensive lineman. So I do think that's an upgrade. I don't think it's a major upgrade, but it's an upgrade. So I think Washington's done a really good job of plugging holes, which leaves them the opportunity to drop a rookie quarterback in and not be like Justin Fields, where there's nothing around him, or the kid, or Will Levis last year, or Bryce Young last year, where there's just nothing around him and it's down to the studs. So I do think whatever rookie they draft has a fighting chance of doing something. I think Olamide Zaccheaus was another sneaky good signing. I just think they did really good at hitting a bunch of season Bs and replacing Ds with season Bs. So overall, they got better.
Yeah, and I think they had a lot of picks in the first 100, right? I think it's almost like 6 or 5 picks. They got obviously the second overall pick. I think 2 in the second round. They got 1 from the Sweat, and I think they got a couple 3s, right? I think 2, maybe even 3 picks. So they're poised, I think, to at least make, in my opinion, at least a little bit of noise. I don't know how much noise, but it all depends on what Mariota does, and we all know Mariota is, just a stopgap. He's a starter. Well, I'm sorry.
I mean, I don't think Mariota has any chance of beating out a rookie.
You don't think Mariota's going to start this season?
No chance.
To start the season? No.
I would put it at -% chance if there was possible to go negative.
They're gonna give him $10 million to sit on the bench.
Well, he's making $6 million only. He's only making $6 million cash, and yeah, that's it. He's gonna be brought in, and he's gonna be asked to do 2 things: make sure the rookie's on time, like we need the rookie here at 7, so you need to wake up at 5, call the rookie at 5:30 so the rookie's up by 5:45. Like, that's going to be Mariota's job. And then secondly, when the rookie has a question about how to study film, instead of calling the head coach, because their head coach is a defensive-minded guy, you're just going to call Marcus. So Marcus is basically being hired to be an extra coach. He's not going to play.
You think is Marcus smart like that? I have no idea. Like, is he because like some guys can do like to me like a Jacoby Brissett, like he can teach you how to be a pro's pro, right? I don't know.
Well, Marcus Mariota was a Heisman in college, 3-year starter.
Yeah, I know
I mean, first round pick, good person. He's been in the NFL 5 years. Yeah, I mean, I think he could teach a rookie how to be a pro for sure.
Okay, all right, not too bad. Ernie B, what you think about Washington so far and the things that they've done, or are we echoing pretty much what Sharp said already? Just stopgap. You like the over in the 6.5. Since you're a little bit new to the betting, right? Betting pool. Do you like that over at 6.5, or you're on the under there?
I'm with. I mean, if I had to pick at 6.5, I would take the over. I think this is a well supplemented roster through free agency. I think Dan Quinn is a really good head coach for a new owner to kind of have fans invested while technically going through a rebuild. And this isn't a rebuild from the roster. This is a rebuild from a franchise as a whole. So, I mean, Snyder left him slops. You know what I mean? So, and I'm not talking from a roster standpoint per se. I'm more or less talking from a business standpoint. So, I like what they did. I really do. I mean, I love bringing in Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu to complement Jamin Davis. They're still going to run 4-3. You add Clelin Ferrell, Dorrance Armstrong, Dante Fowler to the outside alongside Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne, which could still be argued as the best interior defensive lineman tandem in the NFL. Mariota is not starting. There's not a fart of hope that he will start outside of injury for a rookie. Zach Ertz that was early in the process. I felt like that was more of a I hate to say it, but that was genuinely a poke at the Eagles. Was just, sign a vet. He's willing to come here. Let's bring him in. We don't have anything at the position. I really like what Sharp brought up about Biotic and Allegretti. Their offensive line play has been atrocious over the past few years, and bringing in two guys who, in my opinion, have been undervalued. And did they overpay at the time? For sure. But I guarantee you 3 years from now, they're going to look back on those contracts and they're going to be good deals. Olamide Zaccheaus, Jahan Dotson, and Terry McLaurin, with Dax Milne, De'Ami Brown, and Jamison Crowder coming in as your top 6 on roster right now. I just don't think Washington is no longer desperate going into the draft outside of quarterback. And I feel like they set themselves up well for that outside of one position, which would be outside corner. I think that they missed on Emmanuel Forbes last year. And I think that they kind of need to address that. But other than that, I mean, they're, a 7-win team. I mean, 6.5, I'd be confident they reach 7.
I'm on the other side of this of you guys. I'm on the under. Like, I don't think they get the 7. I don't think their roster is good enough, especially if you go with a rookie in this division. Like, who? I mean, they might split with the Giants, but they're not beating Dallas or the Eagles.
How good is Dallas and the Giants? And
Dallas ain't. We'll get to Dallas. Dallas ain't moved. The Giants, but they're not beating us or Dallas. They're not splitting with us. They might beat the Giants.
Washington sneaks a game from us almost every year.
I know. I know it's the NFC East. I know. I get it.
That's kind of the thing. I'm just saying they are in a far better position with this new regime than they were previously.
Agreed. Yeah, no, I can't knock that. I agree. They're doing.
They're no longer like, it's Philly, Dallas, New York Giants. It's an 4-team division because we have a
but I will say they're playing with fire at tackling corner. So I mean that's like your 2 premium positions. They're probably rolling C- across the board at tackle and outside corner, and so I do think they are 2 seasons away from really turning the corner, but I do think they're 1 draft away. I guess what I'm trying to say is that the 6.5 is a good number right now because if they have a good draft, I will be betting it. As of today, I can't bet it. I'd be leaning the 7. I do need to see what they do after the quarterback, whether it's Daniels or May. That's not going to impact me too much in terms of season win total year 1. I like both those quarterbacks. It's going to come down to whether they can find some corners in that day 2 that can maybe push to start and change their defense for me. But I will say this, in the division, I am anticipating the Giants to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. Like, I think the Giants are going to win 3 to 4 games. So like I think the Giants could go winless in the division. So I think Washington could steal 2 wins off the Giants, fluke one, steal one from the Cowboys. They always play the Eagles tough. Maybe they go 0-2. Maybe they steal one. I actually think they could easily win 3 or 4 division games. And then their schedule's not that hard. So I don't think it's all that hard for them to get to 7 wins.
Can we use the word just feisty? Like they're just as we
stand. To me, it's just the Giants are going to be so bad.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not talking about the Giants. The Giants are going to be, excuse my language, they're going to be fucking awful.
Probably a good time to transition to them.
Yeah, I'm about to say, but the Washington Commanders, there's one word I want to use for them this year, and it's feisty. And that's just, however you interpret that word is how you feel about them moving forward.
All right. Well, I think that's a good transition, right? Talking about one of the worst teams in the league, more than likely is going to be the Giants. Is Daniels going to be ready by the start from that ACL?
You're going to talk to me about Daniel Jones after last night?
I'm just asking. Is he going to be? I don't know. That changes a little bit, right? Is he going to be ready? I know they signed who they signed, Drew Lock, right?
That's
not saying much. But well, all right. Let me do it officially. Looking at the list there. So the big signings. They had a couple more big signings, but names that I thought were notable that people would recognize quickly here. Bryant Burns, great young pass rusher. I think we were looking at them. Devin Singletary coming off a good year from Buffalo, and Jalen Mills that gives them, at least a veteran presence. He can play.
The Green Goblin.
Yeah, even dyeing his hair all kinds of different colors these last couple of years, right?
It's always been green, technically. It's always been green. Let's not get it twisted.
And then they lost Saquon. Obviously, we already know where he's at. Xavier McKinney. I think I spelled that wrong. And I thought Onshawn Robinson was a low-key loss too. He was a pretty good inside defensive interior line there. They also lost a lot. Like they lost Paris Campbell with some depth, Adoree Jackson, Justin Pugh, Isaiah Simmons. I think, even though people hate on Tyrod's always been a good vet to me. He can come in and he knows how to run an offense, knows how to win. They didn't really re-sign too much, I didn't think, in terms of their own. A lot of players, a lot on one-year deals. Like I said, Burns, John Runyon Jr. is another name that should sound familiar that signed with them. And I think, and then like I said, Drew Lock and some other kind of key just pieces that you can put. Jack Stoll, tight end, Isaiah McKenzie. Just some guys you can come put in and play. But this roster is not well put together. This roster is lacking talent across the board. And I agree here. I don't know what their over and under is right now. I didn't get that far and look. But the Giants are going to be one of the worst teams in the league. Now, listening to Saquon talk about the organization, talking about the people in there, he feels that they have the right organizational pieces to get them over the hump. But as we look at this right now, with this team and this roster, I'm not sure how they're going to do that. They have one more year? With my cap guys, one more year with Jones, and then they can move off him. You guys know? Is it one more year?
This is the last year of the guaranteed money.
This is the last year of the guaranteed money?
The majority of the guaranteed money.
The majority? Okay. So, yeah, a great year to tank, right? Get yourself a quarterback for the following year. But, really that's my spiel on the Giants. I agree with both you guys. But how do the Giants be competitive, Ernie? Like, is it even possible with the way this roster is constructed?
I just want to let you know, I just saw the number on DraftKings, and it's 6.5.
It's 6.5?
It's 6.5.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go ahead and stand on business right now. And I'm going to say I would hammer the under. I would hammer the under. This roster is sprinkled with talent, but it's cluttered with dog shit. And it's just, I don't understand how they have allocated cash. It's funny enough to think that the Giants and Jets have gone through like their own sort of turmoil during their own kind of like era, but the Jets on paper are like it's a Madden team, and then you look at the Giants, and it's just so bad that I don't know where to find high points in this roster. I mean, if you're telling me that I have to pick whether this team is going to win or lose 6 games or less, I'm taking less than 6 games. I mean, Brian Burns, sure, that's a very, very, very good addition to a team that needed pass rush. But I mean, you're talking about Jalen Hyatt, Darius Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson. Sure, we'll throw in Isaiah Hodgins as your top 4 receivers. Darren Waller, I'm pretty sure, is debating on retirement right now. So I don't know how we can talk about him as a weapon. They have Daniel Bellinger, Chris Manhertz, Jack Stoll, and Tyree Jackson, 2 former Eagle UDFAs on there as darts they're throwing. I mean, Daniel Jones, Drew Lock, Tommy DeVito. We've heard the J.J. McCarthy stuff. I'm much, much more of a fan of the way the Washington Commanders have been operating as to the way the New York Giants have been operating this offseason. I think the Giants are just the way I was pissed off by the Tennessee Titans is how I feel about the New York Giants.
Sharp, I'm looking at right now odds of the number 6 overall pick in the draft. We have Neighbors at plus 150, plus 450, Dunze at plus 450, and JJ at 5-1. Who you putting your money on for the New York Giants to take with the number 6 overall pick? If they pick them, things going all.
I mean, if I'm anticipating the Chargers trading off that pick, it'll be Malik Neighbors. This team is taking a playmaker. They're devoid of talent. I don't even really know where to begin. I guess I kind of just talked about it on the last show or on the last team. I mean, I don't know exactly if I'm one of the people, but I've already got 15 units on the Giants under. So that was minus 110 earlier in the day, and now it's minus 135. Something tells me C-Sharp's a part of that, minus 135 now. That just lets you know where I'm at. The Giants have no chance of winning 7 games. I always moving forward. I'm going to start placing big bets before I hop online because I noticed last year, like mid show, some lines I was on were changing as I was talking, and that's just I'm not going to allow that to happen anymore on me this year. So that's going to be one of my bigger bets. So just go get it now. I would lock it in minus 135, shop around. The Giants have no chance. Like even with a great draft, even if Hurts gets injured, like this team's just really bad. They're actually tanking. And what most people don't realize, there's a civil war going on. The Giants are a mom and pop organization. What does that mean? It means that they are an old family who owns it and a family that didn't make general wealth outside of the NFL. What does that mean? It means they are rich because when they didn't have a lot of money, they owned the Giants. And then over time, the Giants became so rich as the NFL became rich that the family became rich. The Mara family has no money outside of what the actual Giants make. And so what most people don't talk about when evaluating franchises, like your coaching staff does not go against the salary cap. Your scouting department does not go against the salary cap. There are no rules against how many scouts you can hire. The Giants have one of the worst scouting departments in all the NFL. They're cheap. They pay their GM nothing. They pay their scouting department nothing. None of their coordinators like their head coach. Wink Martindale almost got into a boxing match in the locker room with their head coach last year, Brian Daboll. You can ask around, that happened. They literally got face-to-face. Had to be broken up by Kayvon Thibodeau. I mean, this team's a mess. Like, they're tanking without tanking. Like, Joe Shane wants to tank. The owners wanted to keep Daniel Jones around. The front office doesn't want Daniel Jones. The head coach doesn't want Daniel Jones. Like, I think there's a chance this team wins 2 or 3 games.
Yeah, I like the bet. I like the pick. And, I don't think there's much to say. They're going to be horrific and terrible. And I can't wait to talk shit to nothing but all family that's Giant fans, because
me too.
cats from Philly. You in your family, you got somebody, some way, somehow is a Dallas fan, but you also got a ton of Giants fans, and I can't wait to talk some shit to the Giants fans.
I truly hope they go 0-6 in the division, so just everyone can take a dump on them.
Yeah, they went 6-11 last year, by the way.
Right.
Jones got hurt early November, so I don't know what their record was at that, but obviously it went all the way downhill, and Drew Lock's not going to save them. So, agreed. All right, let's go to the end here with the Cowgirls. Not a lot of movement with Dallas. We know they didn't re-sign or gave Dak his extension, so we know this is a make or break year for them. Eric Kendricks was a pretty decent signing. I don't know. I haven't followed Kendricks since, I know he was almost an all-pro in the Vikings for a while, and then I don't know. Did he go to the Chargers after the Vikings, or he's coming from the Vikings? I forget.
No, Vikings, Chargers, Cowboys.
Cowboys. Okay. Yeah, I didn't follow him too much over there in Chargers, so I'm not sure where he's at. But obviously the mainstays, Tyron Smith, who's been there forever. Future Hall of Famer. Pollard's gone. Gilmore at the end of his rope is gone. So I think I saw something that Dak said. He kind of likes this all-in type deal for him back against the wall. Obviously, there's rumors of Zeke maybe coming back to Dallas again. That doesn't move the needle for them at all. Man, I mean, it's always going to be Dallas sucks in the back of my head, but just trying to take the fanboy out of it. I think they really missed out here on free agency. Like, they didn't move and they didn't do anything. I mean, they were kind of right there last year, but they didn't win. You had, Jerry Jones, bottom lip quivering, on his interview crying, 95-year-old man crying. And I get it. He doesn't have much life left to see if his, beloved Cowboys might win. But I just don't understand the philosophy of not moving here. I mean, I just don't get it. So I need somebody to help me. Sharp, I'll start with you. Why didn't Dallas do anything this offseason? I mean, they got Kendricks. Who was the guy with the neck roll who just retired? I forget his name.
Leighton Vander Esch.
Yeah, he just retired, but he was kind of falling off anyway. He wasn't the same linebacker he was when he first started. So I don't think it's like a big thing, that he wasn't there. He got hurt, got the stinger, neck injury, and made the right decision. But, going back to what I said, Sharp, why didn't Dallas move here? Why didn't Dallas do anything in free agency to improve this roster?
I think there's a couple things. First off, I think they made some poor decisions the last 3 years, and they overpaid guys early. The Cowboys are notorious for paying their own. They draft well, but they pay their own guys earlier than they have to, and it just comes back to bite them. And I think this year, what they needed to do, which was actually smart, instead of spending this year, they're going to roll over a bunch of money into next year so that when they ink CeeDee Lamb to a ridiculous contract, and then they ink Deron Bland to a massive contract, and then they ink Dak Prescott to a massive extension, and then they give Tyler Smith, their new left tackle, a massive extension. So basically what I think they did is move the money around to basically to re-sign their own guys. And then, Micah too. I just mistalk. I just misspoke. Obviously, they're going to pay him.
Because, they can't pay everybody.
Well, no, but that's the thing. Their problem is they have 5 guys at key positions, and they don't have any of them locked up for the future. Yeah. So they put themselves in a bad spot. And I'll be completely honest. There's a reason no one ever repeats in this division. It does seem like as one team goes all in, the other team's kind of in a reshuffle year. And the way I look at it, the Eagles were in a reshuffle year last year, and they're on an uptick this year where they've got a little bit of money, they got a little younger, and now this is the year where the Cowboys are going to be a little older, and they're going to have to reshuffle the deck. And so I expect the Eagles to win 12, 13 games. I expect the Cowboys to win 9 or 10, and it's going to be the Eagles' division. There's no doubt about it.
I like the sound of that, Ernie B. When we talk about the Eagles' division, I'll go right to you. Try your best to be
thank you
about talking about the Dallas Cowboys.
Thank you for that, because I actually funny story, and we're gonna get a little personal here. We had I recently had a Giants fan over at my house watching some basketball.
I apologize.
No, and it was so funny because I looked at him. I said, "There's nothing you can say to me that really hurts me." I was like, "You're 2 Super Bowls to 1 during my lifetime." I was born in '96, so the Eli Manning, whatever. I just sat there and looked back at him. I was like, at the end of the day, man, you're not the Cowboys. And look at this roster. C Sharp is completely right. As much as I want to think they're incompetent and they're doing everything fucking wrong, they're not. They're handling business within their own shell. And I guess some of that could be hitting on 5th round pick Deron Bland, hitting on undrafted free agent Marquise Bell. I mean, they've got a lot of money. Jerry's got a lot of money. He's got a lot of checks. He's got to start writing soon. And I'm not quite sure what to think about this whole Dak situation. I don't really know whether I'm a fan of it or not. And I guess time will tell. I think that I'm just completely open to see how it plays out. But I will say that there is not a world right now where Dallas and Philadelphia compare on paper. And this is pre-draft. So look at the Eagles and look at the Cowboys. Look at the Cowboys' weaknesses, and you look at the Eagles' weaknesses. And I'm just going to go with C Sharp on this. I think it's the Eagles' division to lose. I mean, they are so far ahead on paper right now, and the fact that they're ahead of Dallas now kind of points to the narrative that he's talking about. Is that there's one team in this division that kind of seems to be primed to go all in, while there's one in Dallas that's kind of just doing what they're doing. Washington's holding their head above the water, and then you have the Giants that are fighting for air. So, I mean, I think swing this back to betting, I don't know. Does anybody have on hand Dallas's over under?
Yep, 10.5.
I'm right here all day long.
From a betting perspective, I kind of like the under. I mean, they're still pretty. They still got, like Sharp was saying, they still got top guys at key positions, at the positions that they need.
But 10.5. I mean,
and when you have that, I mean, I can't remember the last time we swept Dallas, right? In my head, and I might be off. It might be just a couple years ago, but we always split them. Washington or the Giants, they might play Dallas tough, but they're going to win. I mean, they're going to be second in our division. So I don't know what their schedule is or who they play.
But imagine Washington with 9 wins and Dallas with 10 wins, and then Philadelphia with 12 wins.
Yeah, I don't think Washington's going to get 9 wins with a rookie or Mariota. So that's why I said I was on the under on Washington from you guys.
Washington will definitely be 7-10 for sure. They're going to hit their over.
So
no doubt.
I think
at the minimum, though, right, Sharp? I mean,
I mean, Washington. I could see a world where Washington goes 6-11, but they won't go any worse than 6.
You don't see 8-9 at just somewhere in that realm of like over the 7 realm.
You trust Mariota to do that? Like, and even if Mariota doesn't do it,
Mariota is not playing. I don't know where you're getting Marcus in your mind.
Worse.
Drake May.
No, it doesn't. Jaden Daniels and Drake May are laughing at Marcus Mariota. They would literally say, "Hey, Marcus, please go grab my helmet."
Mariota was bad in camp. He was bad.
Guys,
he was bad in 7-on-7. Like Mariota did nothing right last year. Other than
this is not like CJ Stroud, right? Like that doesn't happen. Rookie quarterbacks don't typically win in their first year. They just don't, especially with that roster. Like
what are you talking about winning? What are you talking about winning? 7-10 is a losing season. They can be a bad team and win their over. I don't understand.
That's a good point. Good point.
Yeah.
It's a losing season.
Well, like I said, one of my biggest bets of the year already is Washington over. The only thing that's a bigger bet for me, and I'm shocked the line hasn't moved, I have 20 units already on the Eagles over 10.5. So I kind of talked about Ernie B in the chat. I thought he was going to get a short out. I'll just say it on the chat. Now. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and take it. Yeah, you want to stop what you're doing and just go ahead and take over on Eagles 10.5. This is free money. It's just, yeah. His team is going to fall out of bed winning 11 games in the NFC this year. Dallas is going to take a step back. Washington will be competitive, but again, breaking in a rookie quarterback.
Feisty. We're using the word
And then the Giants will be one of the worst teams in the NFL, no doubt about it. So, yeah, I mean, the Eagles are going to win 12 games, maybe 13, with a good draft. Especially, they go get Quinyon Mitchell. I might even throw another 10 units on it and push that bet to 30 units. That's how much I like that kid. So,
I'm with you.
Yeah, I mean, that's just pretty much the division right there. I mean, the Eagles are probably going to win the NFC, and they're definitely going to win the NFC East. It really just comes down to the draft at this point. It's a 3-horse race at the top. I think the Eagles have replaced Green Bay. I think if the Eagles and Green Bay played right now, Eagles would dust them. I think it's really the Lions, the Niners, and the Eagles.
Yeah, I'm still fighting you guys on that Washington. I'm on the under there, so.
Yeah.
Just gotta have that. Gotta have my little 2 cents in there. Let's go to the NFC West. All right. So a little bit lighter. Actually, you know what? Where's the top? I think the top kind of got cut off there. Is that better? Did that go? Let me remove it and then re-add it. Sorry about that, folks. We'll re-add that.
It's the cost of doing things live.
Yeah, I know, right? When you do it live, it's always like that.
When you do it live, man, this is the way it is. What it is.
Yeah, it'll come back up though. But
what team were we starting off with?
Arizona. It was Arizona. Arizona was missing, so it doesn't want to cooperate.
They're in a great spot.
But I'll start it off. What I have for Arizona is obviously they lost Hollywood Brown, right? Marquise Brown. We know
that's a nothing.
But that's really nothing. But I thought Jonah Williams was a big pickup for them from Cincinnati. Helped get that offensive line solidified. Chris Moore from the Titans, vet, knows how to play. I thought that was a pretty good signing for them. I think Gannon is underrated as a head coach, in my opinion. He got those guys to play with limited talent. He didn't have his quarterback for most of the year. That defense buzzed around a little bit. So I think I like what they're doing over there. They're building that team up a little bit. They're putting some decent players in position. Some other key names I didn't talk about, DJ Dallas, Justin Jones. And I think that they're building that roster out. They're building that culture the right way. But I don't, in this division, it's still San Fran. They got ways to go. Kind of Arizona kind of is like Washington, maybe in a little bit better spot, I think. But let me ask you guys this. Gannon or I just had his name in my hand.
Shane Steichen.
No. Gannon or
Quinn.
The coach for Washington, Quinn.
Dan Quinn.
Dan Quinn. Gannon or Quinn? As a head coach, not DC.
Sharp, you start as I'm about to go aggressively love my dog for whoever's at my front door. If you give me 1 second here.
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
I mean, I don't really have a thought. You got to let Gannon. I mean, you got to give Gannon 3 or 4 years, right? Like, I don't.
Yeah.
I've got no. Yeah.
Quinn's been a head coach before, right? Wasn't he?
I've got no thought process on Jonathan Gannon as a head coach. I would just let him do his thing and see how he does. I think he did a good first year.
So, looking at Arizona, even though we can't see it, I don't know why. I'll see if I can figure that out. Why that what they did so far. Where do you think that Arizona goes in the draft, and where they are setting up for kind of right now?
Oh, the draft for them is a no-brainer. I mean, you're talking about one of the best 5 receivers to hit NFL in 30, 40 years. I mean, this is. You're talking about a guy. You're talking about a guy that's better than a Jamar Chase when he hit the league, better than a Justin Jefferson when he hit the league, better than a Devontae Smith when he hit the league, and I'm talking like a gap too. It's not like close. Like people say, Neighbors is close. He's not. I do like Neighbors in zone defense. The difference between Neighbors and Harrison Jr. is one-on-one coverage. And that's really the difference between when you talk about the greatest receivers of all time, it's busting up single coverage, right? You couldn't cover Jerry Rice single coverage at flanker. You put him in motion, it was over. Tyreek Hill, single coverage. Sometimes he gets jammed, rarely, but that's his size. The problem with a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr., he's like Larry Fitzgerald or Calvin Johnson. Like, you can't jam him at the line. I don't care who you are. Like, you can be 6'4", 220-pound corner. He's just going to throw you off you, and then he's going to run back, and then he's going to run around you, and then he's going to run by you, and then he's going to Randy Moss you. So, like, you're just talking about a guy who, like, is going to laugh at a Sauce Gardner. Like, he's that good of a receiver. Like, he's just going to dominate every corner in the National Football League. He's going to rock them to sleep. I mean, this is a surefire Canton player. I mean, you're talking about he's going to take Arizona to another level.
Yeah, agreed. Ernie B, anything to add for the non-Arizona grid I have that we can't see?
Well, first off, I would like to say that Amazon is fantastic with their delivery of toilet paper. If anybody's looking for some good TP, it's a fantastic non-sponsor. The deal is just great. Arizona. Okay, let me just first. I want to reiterate the fact that I completely agree with C Sharp that Marvin Harrison Jr. is a generational prospect. I actually think he's a better prospect than Jamar Chase was. So I kind of put him in that Calvin Johnson, Julio Jones as far as like my recency category. I mean, that's just I can only follow what I can follow.
He's more refined for sure than Julio. Significantly too.
I would say so, but
because I think Jamar Chase was more refined than Julio Jones in college, significantly.
I would say that
the tape for sure shows up.
Yeah, I would just say the freedom of LSU's program at the time compared to Alabama's program at the time was just. I mean, we're talking about what was it, 2008 versus like 2018 or whatever. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just different, but. What I'm trying to get across is MHJ is a generation. I mean, thanks to my friendship of Sharp, it has. I mean, it didn't factor in when I saw Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, and what I have seen from this guy, this kid, it's ridiculous. Like, you're talking about a franchise that is going to land Larry Fitzgerald and then Marvin Harrison Jr. I can't think of a more blessed franchise as far as wide receivers go. Like, there are guys in the NFL that will say Larry Fitzgerald is one of the best to ever do it, and there's some that'll say he's the best tape watch that there is. And the fact that the Arizona Cardinals are going to be in the position that they are in with former Eagles defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon, I look at this roster and wide receivers, it's atrocious. Okay. I actually am. Jonah Williams doesn't move much for me. I need to see him put it on the field. I just don't. It's a name at this point. I'd like to see him do some things. I loved when they got Paris Johnson. I mean, I loved them. The way they handled last year's draft, having Kyler being hurt. And yet they were able to finagle and get what they got. And then yet they go back and they trade for Desmond Ridder at the value that they got him. They drafted Clayton Tune last year in the 5th. Nate brings up DJ Dallas. I don't know, man. I see a roster that is feisty, but I see a different take on feisty as I use this words for the Washington Commanders. I see a more youthful feistiness as opposed to just kind of dart throwing veterans. I see that a team that is saying, you know what, screw it. We have our core values in Kyler Murray and Paris Johnson. They really believe in Trey McBride, and they can see Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be on this roster. If New England takes Marvin Harrison Jr., it's not happening. I mean, I don't even want to go down that avenue because it's not happening. It's going to be QB 1, 2, 3, and then it's Marvin Harrison Jr. at 4 to the Cardinals. And I like it, man. I mean, Sean Murphy Bunting was a cool addition. I don't know. I'm not talking about a team's going to win the division here, but I could see them being feisty is my word for them. They're in my Commander's realm. They're going to beat
really
some
like the
teams they
Cardinals.
shouldn't beat.
You gave the Cardinals a lot of airtime, baby.
Yeah, that's what I'm
I
saying. I'm saying, what's going on here? You come back talking Marvin Harrison. Well, what are we doing? Like, this team's bad. This team has no chance of being feisty. This team has no chance of being anywhere near Washington Commanders. This team is going to be a slightly better Giants. Yeah, I mean, and we already know. I talked about Marvin at the top. We probably don't need to keep killing Marvin Harrison. Keep talking about him.
Jones,
so I say we just move on from the Cardinals. They're going to be really bad. They're going to be feisty's not the word for the Cardinals. They're going to be really bad.
What's their win total at right now? Like as we
6.5, and they'd be lucky to hit 6.
Well, 6.5 is generous.
I'm sitting here. I'm listening to you, EB, and I'm just like, we going long.
I like them, dude. I was
like, we just spent 10. We basically just spent 9 minutes talking Marvin Harrison Jr. for no reason. Okay,
and that's kind of the thing. The kid is so polarizing. I feel like he could turn this organization around. I'm not saying they're going to make the fucking.
Yeah, no. Receivers don't turn around. Receivers don't turn around organizations. You know that.
That's not. I got you, Ernie. Don't worry. Don't let you talk.
I don't know. I want to see what they do on draft day. I want to see what the Cardinals do on draft day. I'm going to remember this conversation.
Remember it, baby. It's all. It's video. It's video receipts. All right, let's keep it moving. We got Seattle Seahawks now. The Seattle, when I did a little bit of my homework for the show, I didn't know Seattle had so much turnover on defense. So many people they lost. They released both their safeties. Both linebackers are gone. Bobby Wagner's been through this before, obviously. Jordan Brooks was underrated. They did. Kayvon Wallace has been a journeyman. Tyrod Johnson, who was a inside linebacker for Buffalo, I think it was. He was rated pretty high. But, I mean, replacing Brooks, and then we already know what Wagner was to the city of Seattle and to that team is a daunting task. And this is what I was talking about going through this process of seeing how these teams are built sets you up for future bets, because this defense is going to be bad. Like, I'm just looking at all these players that are gone and how they're going to replace them and what they've done so far. I just don't see it.
You think the defense is going to be bad?
With Mike McDonald,
so, yeah.
The defense is
I think this defense is going to take a massive jump forward.
Rayshawn Jenkins is an underrated name.
How? They took Old Man Rivers. They took Old Man Rivers, who was running the most antiquated defense in the league, Pete Carroll. They took him out to pasture. They brought in Mike McDonald, who runs the most futuristic defense in the NFL. That's why they got rid of all their guys that aren't going to fit his scheme. They upgraded at linebacker with Jerome Baker and Tyrell Dodson. They got their old guys out of there. See ya. We just
upgrade over Brooks.
I know it's an upgrade over Brooks. Yes.
Brooks was a tackling.
Jordan Brooks has not performed to his draft.
Nate, you're thinking of a Pete Carroll defense. I don't think you're quite grasping of what Mike McDonald's defense needs. And it doesn't need what it doesn't want is 250-pound linebackers that just plug the middle. That's not his defense. He doesn't want that. He doesn't want a Bobby Wagner. He doesn't want a guy like that at all.
Can I come back and just clarify that the Cardinals are not a team that I like love in this division. Personally, my rankings right now are.
Did you just bring back the Cardinals? Well, hey, bro, we're moving on. The Cardinals are done. Let's not.
It goes about them, all right?
No, man. You came back from toilet paper and then talked Marvin Harrison for 5 minutes. Let's just move on from the Cardinals.
All I'm saying is talk about rankings here. If I had to predict the finish,
move on from the Cardinals.
Niners, Rams, Seahawks, Cardinals.
So hold on.
The Cardinals are.
Let's get back to this defense, though. Because I'm not questioning McDonald, right? I know who McDonald is. I know he's a whiz. But you think he's going to turn it over in a year?
Draymond Jones.
Like you got to understand what dogs he had in the Ravens, right? Like this ain't the Ravens. Like he has some dogs
they've got
in Baltimore.
Yeah. Remember they signed Rayshawn Jenkins, really good safety. They signed Rayshawn Jenkins. He was probably the anchor of the Jacksonville secondary last year, so they stole him from Jacksonville.
Okay.
Jerome Baker was a stud for Miami. That's an upgrade at linebacker.
Yeah,
I think now Boye Mafe, Draymond Jones, and Leonard Williams now fit Mike McDonald's defense better than it fit Pete Carroll's defense. So I think their defensive line all is going to take a jump because of coaching jump. They brought in Jonathan Hankins for nose tackle from Dallas. So now they have Jaron Reed and Jonathan Hankins, the nose tackle position, a.k.a. the zero tech, lining head up over the center. That is a pivotal position in Mike McDonald's defense, one that their previous predecessor, Pete Carroll, just didn't use nose tackles. He liked gap shooters. So, yeah, I think they went from a bunch of guys who were out of position to guys who are going to love this defense. And then I think Jerome Baker and Rayshon Jenkins were home run fits. Yeah, I expect Seattle to be a 10-11 win team.
10-11?
Yeah,
yep.
I don't think I don't think that defense is going to be lights out like that.
I'll put it to you like this way. I'll put Seattle will be better than the Rams next year for sure.
No.
Yes. The Rams just lost their best player. Yes.
In the world.
Yes. Ernie B, go however much money is in your savings that you're comfortable losing, make that bet with me right now. I'll do a heads up with you. Seattle versus Rams.
I'm Jewish and I'm not even Jewish, dude. So I couldn't even make that bet.
Jewish.
I couldn't even make that bet. I mean,
that's how confident I am. That's not a good bet for you.
Yeah, I was just talking about their defense. I think their defense will be middle of the pack. I don't think it's going to be in the upper echelon. That's just me. But
I don't think it'll be. I don't. But they were bad. They were one of the worst teams. So I think they'll go from a bottom 5 defense to a, top 15 defense, and then their offense is already really legit. So the team's going to be legit.
Right. Okay. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see with this defense and how he's.
Oh, man. I don't know, man. Los Angeles is not a bad roster at all.
Did I say that?
I did they're better than Seattle.
Go ahead, Ernie B. The floor is yours. Talk to me about the Rams and what.
Well, I mean, it's
the
like
Rams
Seattle to the Rams. I mean, I don't know. I trust Matt Stafford more than I trust Geno Smith. I really like adding Cameron Curl, Tre'Davious White, whatever. I mean, that's kind of is what it is. They overpaid for Jonah Jackson. They kind of tend to do that for their own guys. I think Steve Avila, and I'm not sure how you're supposed to say that now. I've heard so many pronunciations of that are wrong, but Steve Avila is how I've heard it. So I've heard he's going to take a really big but he's taken a really big jump as an interior offensive lineman in the NFL.
What does that mean? He was really good last year.
And he's projected to take an even bigger jump this year. So that's fine.
I don't. Okay.
I mean, I think Steve Avila is going to be better than he was last year, if you want me to put it formally.
Okay. I don't think that offsets losing the best defensive player in the world.
And that's fine.
Not even close.
I mean, that's fine. I look at the roster. I don't know. If it's Seattle versus what LA is doing right now, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think that the Rams are gasping for air right now. I don't know. I'm not, what is the Rams over under compared to Seattle?
The Rams over unders 8. The Rams over unders 8.5. Seattle's over under 7.5.
Yeah, I would close.
Which I think is fair. Like it has nothing. That win total. I'm kind of surprised. Like Blake, what you should be saying is I'm just going to trust the head coach. That's where you would have the decided advantage. So maybe I'll answer it for you. If you would be solely trusting Sean McVay, then I get that. But you were talking about Steve Avila. What? You're trying to sell me on Steve Avila.
He said Stafford.
I could go into Kobe Turner. We could go into, Byron Young. I could go into the names, but I'm not going to deep dive. Yeah. What I'm saying is,
and none of those guys are replacing their best player.
You're right. I trust Sean McVay more than I trust Mike McDonald.
That's fair.
You're one Mike McDonald. I'm not saying anything to Mike McDonald's future because this is going to come back and bite me in the ass. But
don't be scared.
Right now, I'm in on Sean McVay, and I'm a Mike McDonald believer. It's just there's a needle. You know what I mean? And right now, I have Sean McVay ahead, and I have the Rams ahead.
The one thing that me and Sharp, we always kind of bicker back and forth, but the one thing that me and Sharp do talk about when we talk about top quarterbacks is we both believe Stafford is in the talk of the most talented quarterback in the league.
Of course. The dude makes throws.
But there's some people who don't, and I'm just not of that group. You want to talk about.
I'm a Stafford believer. Like I have
The
I'm a
Stafford
believer.
and McVay thing, I think, is one of the better pairings and top 5 quarterback head coach pairings in the league. So, yeah, I agree. I agree. If you said that, Ernie B, then I'd go right with you. I'll take that pairing over a lot of pairings.
I agree. I was just calling you out when you start telling me about Steve Avila as the reason the Rams going to be taking this big jump.
I have a
when remember, Steve Avila was a guy that I was talking to you about 3 years ago when no one was even knowing who he was.
C Sharp. Just to, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but C Sharp literally was the one that texted me. Maybe it could have been late night 3 or 4 years ago, and says, "Hey man, have you watched this center from TCU?" And I'm like, "Center from TCU, offensive guard from TCU." He's like, "You got to check him out."
Yeah.
And I'm over here like, "All right, well, let me get into this guy." So there's some personal guys that I've scouted, that I like on this roster. I'm just getting at overall, I genuinely feel that they're ahead of the Seahawks.
And that's fine. That's cool.
As we stand today.
Don't let Sharp. He likes to bully people. Don't let him bully you.
He can't. He can't trust me.
Hey, he backed down from the bet, so that's all I know.
That's what I'm saying. Don't let him bully your ass.
We just post draft. I'm gonna hit him back with. So what we gonna do?
Yeah, but I will say this, and part of it, I'm thinking this is I'm taking a big swing in my mind. I think Seattle's going to go ahead and draft Penix, and I think he's going to beat out Geno Smith.
My problem is I'm also hearing the exact same thing.
So what,
and if you put Michael Penix on Seattle, I'm taking Seattle over the Rams.
Nate, I stand where I stand today. I'm gonna speak on what I speak on today.
15, 16? Where are they picking?
50. No, they have an early pick in the second.
Is it earlier than that? Is it?
They have a pick that they could, regardless, they could move up and take him.
They picked 16th. Seattle.
16. Yeah. That's what I thought was mid pack. Yeah.
Do they own another second round pick though?
For what?
Well, let me ask you this. So speaking of that, because you just said that, we set the line at 5.5. I think Brent had texted me that he thought he saw it on ESPN bets at 4.5 and minus 180. What we know now, speaking of Penix goes in the first round or no?
I think so for sure.
Would he be the last quarterback to go in the first?
No. That's a tough one, dude. This is.
I'm saying no. I'm saying no because I'm standing on what I keep standing on, and I think the Eagles and the Broncos are swapping. So I'm going to say Penix goes before Nix because Nix goes 22nd to Denver.
Okay.
I like what he's saying. And I'm hearing what he's saying. So I'm not. I genuinely think, and Nate, I'm just to let you know, I don't think Howie's sitting put. I think he's moving up. So
I think I've heard that a lot, and when you look at the numbers, right? I mean, I think in his last,
I said this last pod, he does it.
He does what he does. That's what he does. Yeah. So the Eagles not staying put, and the reports that we're moving up, we're moving back. It's every year with the Eagles, especially with with Howie out there.
Right.
It was like 40 times he's moved in the draft the last 10 years. So
he dances. He dances.
Yeah, and that's why to me, it's Mitchell. Like you go up for Mitchell or you let one of the other corners fall to you. Like to me, it's super clear. You either Mitchell gets to that point where you've got a deal in place, like Mitchell falls to Denver, you make the trade, or you just stay at 22 because I know for a fact Kool-Aid or DeJean's going to be at 22. One of them will probably be gone, but one of them is going to be there. And to me, when I look at this cornerback room for the draft, I look at as Quinyon Mitchell, drop off, and then like 3 or 4 guys all clustered together where it's take your pick.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I think Kool-Aid McKinstry and Cooper DeJean are the best fits for a Vic Fangio defense if we're not getting Quinyon Mitchell. So for me, if I'm an Eagles guy, like I'm only trading up for Quinyon Mitchell. I've been on that for a few weeks now. Like that's my guy. If he's gone, I would just stick and pick. That's how I feel. But again, that's just me.
Yeah. And again, for those who are still watching us and watching, we did a whole thing about the Eagles.
Yeah.
So go ahead and go to Money Pot, go to YouTube, hit the subscribe, and find that video. I'll set a link in the comments below with that video in a second here. But yeah, you gotta go and You just got to go and find that video, and we did a whole like hour and 15 minutes on the Eagles straight. So, all right, let's finish it off. San Fran don't need a lot of help, but I was surprised of how much help they did from their defensive line standpoint. And pass rushers, Leonard Floyd, Devontae Campbell, Malik Collins, that was a trade, Yator Gross Matos. A lot of defensive line. Who was the other guy I saw? Jordan Elliott. I was surprised by so much defensive line help, and I'm not sure if that was something they felt like was lacking last year. I thought they had obviously one of the better defensive line, and that showed from their production. But Sharp, just kind of give me a sense. They don't need a lot. I know the Brandon Ayuk thing is still kind of out there. They lost Randy Gregory, who was a pass rusher, but they replaced them. I think Leonard Floyd is an excellent fit for them, and how he gets after the quarterback. But why the sudden move in all these defensive linemen? I mean, is it just having waves of pass rushers, kind of how we would see with the Eagles? But I felt like they kind of had that, right? I thought they had like a good, obviously, first unit, but their second unit I thought wasn't terrible. But it seems like they want waves of pass rushers and defensive linemen.
Yeah, so I think what they did is basically last year they relied on 4 or 5 guys to have way too high snap counts, and in the second half of games it showed. And outside of Nick Bosa, your Arik Armsteads, your Javon Hargraves, your Chase Youngs were not sustaining a certain level of play once their snap counts got to a certain point. So what I think the team did is instead of having a bunch of high-end ones around Nick Bosa, they kind of took a step back and spent a little less money and put a bunch of 2s around him, but added depth. So you said it perfect. Maybe instead of having that really good front line, they took a step back on the front line to increase their second line, which overall in the second half of games, think of the Niners. They plan on getting a lead and then teeing off on you in the second half with the lead. This team doesn't like playing behind. They play most of their games leading in the fourth quarter, and then their D-line takes the game over. Well, I think having waves of pass rush in that second unit actually helps them overall. Where I see the problem is they just feel like the Eagles 2 years ago, coming off the Super Bowl loss, coulda, shoulda, woulda, probably were the better team, just didn't get it done. Now they're a year older. It's highly unlikely that all those old heads sustain. I don't know who it'll be, but someone will fall off like a James Bradbury did. And then all of a sudden there's a Waldo where everyone can target him. It's just really hard for everyone to come back and be as good as they were when you're relying on so many veterans. Maybe it's a George Kittle gets hurt and then they don't have that tight end. Maybe it's a Debo gets hurt and they don't have another Debo. So I really think as this progresses, much like the Eagles, it's now becoming Brock Purdy reliant, and he's going to have to take another jump for them to sustain. And I just don't know. I think they're going to win the division. I do not expect them to be in the Super Bowl.
Okay. Ernie B, bring us home. What do you think about the San Fran 49ers? And don't talk about the center, please.
All right, so we're going to talk about Jake Brendel and his backup, Corey Luciano. No, I think Sharp put it perfectly. The one guy that I'm going to bring up, he brought up, and I'm not going to harp on this too much, but he brought up George Kittle as far as like a random injury or whatever. The name that I'm going to bring up as far as drop-off goes is Trent Williams. I genuinely feel that Trent Williams takes a step back this year.
That's a big, it's weird take. But
just
big though, still.
Watch the tape towards the end of last season. Trent Williams is not this, and I'm a diehard Eagles fan. I can say the same for Lane Johnson. Those two are slowly but surely falling off the top of the mountain.
I've been saying it I said it's the half of last year, dude. Jordan Mailata is the best left tackle in the NFL, and he's the best tackle on the Eagles. The tape does not lie, guys. Jordan Mailata is that good.
It's Sharp's early on a lot of this, but he's not lying. And it's evident to me that they are trying to stay Super Bowl relevant with the way that they made moves on defense, which is okay. Mm-hmm. I mean, Sharp's not lying. They're set up to win the division. I mean, it's not, it's not.
For sure. But they got to be what, 11 and a half 12.
They're probably 10 and a half.
I think it's 10.5 with the Eagles, and I think the only one that's higher, maybe the Chiefs. They're right there. I think it is 10.5.
I believe the Chiefs are the highest win total so far.
No, it is 11. It's 11.5. The Niners are the highest.
It sounds like it should be. The roster's stacked.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it is.
It is, but I look at supplemental veterans at starting positions. Leonard Floyd, Devondre Campbell, Malik Collins is not really a name to bring up, but I mean he is. Look, at the end of the day, I'm not going to talk too much about it. It is what it is. I think the Niners are going to take a major step back, and if I had to point to a player of production that would step back, would be Trent Williams. And this is not a bash on the Niners from an Eagles fan. This is me telling you that Lane Johnson is also going to take a step back.
Fucking whiners. Fuck them.
They are. But it's like, it's just, we have to understand this as fans and as bettors of this game, that you have to get ahead of the decline. If you are not ahead of the decline, you're behind. So
and now you were saying, and now when you say the decline, what are you seeing on tape specifically in his game that you see the decline?
It's one, the speed is not what it was. And it's not getting off the snap. It's the bend from a speed rusher towards the peak of the play.
So he has trouble against speed rushes, is what you're saying, what it sounds like.
Well, you can watch it with Lane, man.
But Lane would be the first one to admit. I think he admitted it, that he's not. He'll rather take somebody who does a power rush.
Yeah, but a power. But then you talk about Myles Garrett, and then you talk about Michael Parsons. The guys who are freaks. We're talking about guys that can do strength to power, strength to speed, and you're just noticing these older tackles don't have the get off the line. They don't have the sustainability through the play that they used to have, and it's not, these younger guys. And it's why Bryce Huff got paid what he got paid this year. I mean, he beats guys with his speed, and he beats guys with his bend, and there's pass rushers like that can make a living, and we just have to hope as Eagles fans he's not a mercenary.
So when I watch Trent, I actually don't think it has anything to do with pass sets, much like Lane. I don't think Lane's pass sets have gotten worse at all. Where the difference in those guys is they don't dominate in the run game like they used to. Like they don't destroy. Like 5 years ago, Lane Johnson would get out and would just knock a backer on his ass. Like not like you get a pancake and then you're on to the third level. Trent Williams was devastating at coming across as a pulling tackle and then setting the backside edge. He no longer can get to the backside edge. So for me, Trent Williams is still an A+ pass protector. He's just no longer a dominant run blocker. And that's where a guy like Jordan Mailata, his pass pro is now as good as a Lane or a Trent, but he's the best run blocking tackle in the league. And that's why and same with a Penei Sewell. Penei Sewell gives you that pass pro. He might get beat occasionally because the technique's not as good as a Trent or a Lane, but in the run game, they are devastating. And so that's why they've become the two best tackles in the National Football League. It's their run blocking, and that's where just 3 years ago, Trent was the best run blocking offensive lineman in the league outside of Jason Kelce. And that's just not the case anymore. And so you're actually seeing, when you watch the Niners, Christian McCaffrey runs right a lot more than he ever used to. They've just become predictable.
Can I ask one question before we end this?
Right.
So, in honor of March Madness, C Sharp, scouting god, can DJ Burns play left tackle? The big ass 6'9", 275-pound big man from NC State. No. Jim Nagy himself says that there is a genuine interest from tryouts for NFL teams.
Oh, I mean, maybe. I mean, he could try. But you're talking about a 5 year. I mean, how old is he?
I don't know off that. I just saw the report earlier that Jim Nagy.
Okay, but just play that forward. Remember, Mailata started at 19, so it took him 5 years to he was a practice squad dude doing nothing for 3 years. So if you were to spin that forward, and let's say it takes him 5 years to become something, if that dude's 23 now you're talking about 28, it's probably not in the cards. If he's 19, I like it. If he's 23, 24, he's not playing football.
So let's go and do that math. You said 23 and you jumped to 29. 23 to 26, right? You said 3 years?
Well, no. I'm saying it would take him about 5 years to become something.
Well,
okay.
yeah, he's right because Mailata. You got to realize Mailata had.
Yeah,
And I'm not
remember
going to dive too deep in this, but he had some serious injuries. Well, not serious, but he had some injuries, some setbacks that he went through early.
What do you have to learn how
Mailata would.
too?
Yeah, exactly, and that's what this kid would. That's what this kid would need. I mean, no, you can't just. I don't care if you're 6'9" and the most athletic kid in the world. You don't just become an NFL left tackle overnight. Like it's technique. It's not. There's technique involved. A lot of it.
I had to hear his response. I just want to hear because it's my phone is blowing up all day long about NFL scouts, DJ Burns, and I'm like, okay.
Well, I thought you were going to talk about his gopher bag on his golf bag back there. That's where I thought you were shooting your shot.
Yeah, I have heard he's a pretty good golfer. He does seem crazy. I mean, 6'9", can play a bunch of sports. I mean, the dude's talented. There's no doubt.
That buck-toothed bastard. No, I'm just kidding.
Can he not play basketball though? Can he not play in the league?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
All
right.
All right, everybody. I think we did a decent job, man. Better time than some of the other ones, and we got through 7 teams. There you go, Ernie. There you go. We got through 7 teams today. Next week we'll be moving to a new time. We'll be moving to Tuesdays, so we'll be going Tuesday lives. Had to make a quick switch scheduling wise, so Tuesday lives will be going on, and this show will continue on throughout the season, but we'll start to morph more into an early betting line and more of a Philadelphia Eagles type show. Kind of sitting both the, my guys, Wellhouse, C Sharp with the early betting lines, Ernie B talking everything in all Eagles as we all can do and breaking down the game. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Hope you guys got some good information. And I know I did because my pronunciation on these names are terrible and I will get it one day. But until then, that's C Sharp. That's Ernie B. I'm Moss Money. Go ahead, C Sharp. Take us go home. You gonna say something?
Man, well, yeah. Like I said, before stop what you're doing. We gave 2 bets out. It's early, but this is a betting show. We went back and forth on a couple things, but I can assure you we're all going to be on these 2 bets. The Eagles are winning more than 10.5 games. I can assure you that. And the Giants are going to be terrible. Just fade all things Giants.
I like it. That's the way to end the show. Fade all things Giants.
Preach. Yep. That's what I'm talking about. Preach.
All right, everybody. Everybody have a good night. We will see you. Actually, don't forget, Wednesday will be our first show with me and Diddy talking gambling nights.
Nice.
So can't wait for that to get going. You boys have a good night. You fans out there have a good night. Make sure you hit subscribe, hit the like button. We will see you next time. Again, that's C Sharp. That's Ernie B. I'm Moss Money.